New LEGO sets for summer of 2024 have just been revealed. We have amazing looking sets from City, Star Wars, Speed Champions, and Harry Potter. But before any of that, we're doing a May the 4th recap. What sets did we buy? And what exactly is going on with this Droid Carrier promo set?
Early indications are that this GWP is not performing quite as well as I think people thought it would.
It looks great, but the big question is, why is it still available? I've actually called over to my local LEGO store a couple of times. I did go in on May 1st after work, but I asked about this promo set right here, and they kind of nonchalantly said, yeah, we still got a bunch of those. So I was like, oh.
Red flag for investing.
There are some early signs that give us some concerns.
That droid pilot there in the render on the back of the box is missing his legs. What's going on with that?
You are right. I totally missed that too.
Do we think the demand is weaker this year? Things going on with the macro economy, maybe less disposable income? Or do we think LEGO cranked up the production on these gift with purchases and they've produced many more than last year?
What's your guess?
My guess is that there's just less interest in this gift with purchase since The Phantom Menace is an unpopular movie among that older demographic. Now, of course, how much is that older demographic that looks down on the prequel films really purchasing LEGO? Maybe not so much. I did run a poll on my channel asking which of these two May the 4th gift with purchases will be the better investment in the long run, and 65%, nearly 2/3 of respondents said the Battle Droid Carrier here. Maybe part of that is because it's army buildable. All the clone army builders need some droid vehicles to face off against their clone armies. So the fact that this is still available tells me that LEGO cranked up the production by maybe 50 or even 100% more than last year, and that's why this gift with purchase is still in stock.
I agree with a lot of that, and when I went into the LEGO store and called them, just the way their tone came across, and when I asked, how are they selling, they're like, oh, we got tons of them. That's telling me that they feel like they got a lot more shipments than previous years or previous GWPs. That's just kind of how I read the body language. But I think there are a few other layers here. Yeah, maybe that GWP is a little less popular because it's from the prequel series, even though the prequel series are becoming more and more popular because that generation is getting into the young adult age group. But I think there's another layer to it, and that is, I think that this year's Star Wars retirement class is just not as good as last year's. But I think that people are just saying to themselves, hey, I love the GWP, but there aren't just as many Star Wars sets that I want to go in on, whether it's investors or the much larger population, which is just LEGO kids that are playing, or just, regular collectors. It's just a smaller number of sets that people want to get, and so they're not selling as well.
I think there's a third possible explanation, which is that LEGO's new pricing strategy of inflating the MSRP and then doing more frequent discounts makes it less enticing to purchase from shop at home and more enticing to maybe wait for your major retailers to put a set on 20%, or maybe this year even 30%, because the MSRPs are so high and they're not going to sell at close to that price.
Yeah, so that's a great point. So the Ghost was $30 off at LEGO Shop. So that was one of the ones that they were really pushing for May the 4th. Partway through the May the 4th weekend with LEGO, Amazon puts it at 20% off. And the Ghost is an Amazon exclusive. And so that, is an interesting play by Amazon. And I think the Ghost is going to be 30% off from Amazon before it completely retires at some point.
Maybe for Prime Day, but that's going to be limit one per account.
That's a really good point. So your best shot at getting the Ghost was through Lego.com, and in multiple quantities now from 20% on Amazon. But yeah, I do, because the Razor Crest, had I think it was 30% off discount sometime around Prime Day. First, let's go to last year's eBay. So it's up to 65 shipped, and that's just the set itself. If we go to all three GWPs, then we're close to 80 shipped. If we look at this year's, we're at 60 for all three. Now, this is kind of typical right at the beginning, it's a race to the bottom and then it comes back.
And I predict that this droid carrier is going to come back way faster and for way longer because it's an army building set.
So here we are on Camel 3X for last year's GWP, comes out, immediately drops down to $60 on Amazon. This is when everybody's got them and they're like, hey, I just got them. The buzz is high. I'm going to make good money on them, or decent enough money on them. Let me get them out the door. And I think there's some value in that. You don't have to hold on to them. It's less space that you're taking up. You're getting the cash right away. So you can then go buy another set and keep turning that cash over. But if you're a little patient, then this set last year worked its way up to 100 and even 110 and peaked at 120 120. And now it's calming down. You know, you got the holidays, of course, and then things slow down early in the new calendar year. So this all makes sense to me, right?
And you know what, Kevin? What I think would help the Droid Carrier bounce back even faster is if we got some more CIS vehicles coming out, like the 2020 AAT. Of course, we have the Tri-Droid and the new Clone Trooper Battle Pack that came out this year. It's been years since we had a homing spider droid. The last droid gunship we had was 2019. It's been, I think, since 2016 since we had a snail tank droid. Of course, it's also been 9 years since we got a Hailfire droid, and I think also 9 years since the last MTT. So a lot of these CIS vehicles are pretty overdue for a remake, and I would not be surprised if in 2025 or 6 we got some significant droid army building vehicles that then would drive some more demand to this droid carrier. So if you're willing to hang on to it for a year or two, I think there's a chance this could go way higher.
What's your thought? Sell them now? Wait till the holidays? Wait a year? What's your plan?
I think it depends on your strategy. There's certainly some merit to compounding your cash as fast as you can, and if you can sell that gift with purchase, get say 50 or 60 bucks back for it and go on reinvesting that. I mean, if you can compound every 3 months, you're compounding 4 times faster than somebody who holds for a year.
Yep.
So there's some serious merit to that. I think I'm inclined to hang on to a couple of mine, like I said, to see if some new CIS vehicles come out and to see if that can push the price up a little bit higher. What are you thinking?
So I'm definitely going to hang on until the holidays. And then, I'm going to keep feeling out like you, but I might hold a couple of them for even longer than that. The risk is the longer I hang on to them, the more likely I'm to open one up and then another one and eventually have my own battle droid Federation carrier, whatever it is, my own army, and sit there one day and look across the floor and say, uh-oh, I was supposed to resell all of these. So
I'm sure there's a small percentage of investors who operate at a very high scale, 6 figures or more per year, but I'd be willing to bet that there are many more small timers, like how you and I started out, who are just buying one set to enjoy and maybe buying a second copy to keep sealed, who aren't really interested in using Lego investing as an engine to multiply money, but are just interested in financing their hobby. So I would bet that the big fish are going to wait for this initial bounce to come back up, and they're going to let those droid carriers fly at 60 bucks, 70 bucks, 80 bucks. Looking at the last droid carrier, the $40 MSRP that's gone over 160. I think there's some merit to holding these for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. One thing I was watching very closely this May the 4th was which sets sold out and in what order. So here's the page showing all 5 sets available for quadruple insiders points. I noticed that the Cantina was the first to sell out, and less than a day later, the $850 UCS AT-AT also went from back order to temporarily out of stock.
Yeah, it's kind of what I would have expected. I think that the Master Series Cantina and the UCS AT-AT are out of stock because at those price points, Lego knows not to produce nearly as many copies as the $50, $100, $150 sets. The Cantina's had, over a 4-year shelf life now. And so Lego winding down production on that, and I'm sure they'll come back into stock before the end of the year, but I don't think they're going to have a ton of them left.
I do want to point out the very first set to sell out, even before the Cantina, was this Ghost and Phantom 2 with the $30 off redeemable code, the design of which you hate so much. If you listen to the voice of the people, it seems like the Ghost is a pretty likable set. I'm just saying.
And this one was the first order that I put in at midnight on May the 1st. I went and got my $30 redeemable promo the night before, so I was ready to go. And yes, this one sold out quickly. It was the one that sold out the quickest in my local Lego store. And I hope to be tracking Amazon. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but I hope to be tracking Amazon and getting some more of this set. I'm not going to go crazy deep, but I definitely like some more.
Still a risky proposition to go deep at all this early in the year when this is a pretty new set that is still quite possibly going to drop off the retirement list.
So I'm definitely hedging and being cautious about that. And remember, this is a Amazon exclusive. And the last 2 Amazon exclusives were the Playscale Razor Crest and then the Darth Vader Castle. Both of those had zombie stock pretty long after it officially retired. And neither of them, I realized that the Razor Crest has, not been out of stock for very long. And maybe it still is even in stock in some cases.
It is still available for full retail. And I do want to point out the Darth Vader Castle retired the end of 2020. I picked up all 5 of my copies in April of the following year. So that had 4 months of zombie stock. The Razor Crest playset has already 5 months and still counting.
Amazon exclusive Lego sets don't have the best track record in the resale market. And I think that that's something that we should at least consider when going in on this Ghost and Phantom 2 set.
Absolutely. This is only the first full year of its shelf life, launched in September of 2023. 2023. If it retires at the end of 24, that would be what, 16 months of shelf life? And the last Amazon exclusives has had over 40 months.
So did you pick any of these up for May the 4th?
Just like you, I used my $30 off discount code, and this was the first set that I picked up to get my first Droid Carrier. This morning, when I saw that Amazon had put out its May the 4th deals on May the 4th itself, I picked up not one, not two, but 3 of these 20% off Ghost and Phantoms from Amazon. A little bit like you, Kevin, I'm hedging. I'm not going balls to the wall until much later in the year, towards the summertime or even September, when the retirement list typically solidifies and we stop seeing changes made.
So we already talked about the Cantina, so I did not pick any up. I probably have FOMO at this point, but I'm just nervous about the $400 price point and holding on to the huge box. So I still think it's going to be great, but it's just, it's a lot to manage.
That's the thing about Lego investing. You can't buy them all. You can't take up every opportunity. There's opportunity cost, right? $400 of these could buy 20 amazing 501st battle packs at full price.
Well, and my wife reminds me that investing requires buying and selling, and she's like, "You're damn good at the buying. How about the selling?" So if I brought in a couple of huge boxes at $400 a pop, she'd be like, the next one that I looked at a lot for May the 4th was this mini scale Executor Super Star Destroyer. This was my second purchase. I got 2 of these, and of course we fill in with Brickheadz to get over the $160 threshold. But it's a Walmart exclusive, and Walmart exclusives historically don't get too many discounts. And so this could have been the best opportunity to get some of these. Did you end up getting any of these?
I did grab a couple of these, and just like you, filled them out with Brickheadz. I completely agree. This is going to be the best deal we get on this set.
And one thing that I'm surprised about, and I'm taking it as a good sign, it did not go to back order right away. It just recently went to back order. I don't see Lego producing tons of these because this one doesn't have minifigures. So it's, clearly aimed at adults and collectors. So I think the production numbers are going to be down. And the fact that it was in stock for a while, maybe still flying under the radar a little bit.
The next set that I did pick up is 1 copy of the Coruscant Guard Gunship, making use of that 10% Rakuten cash back, $140, quadruple points back on that through Lego. So we're getting 2 different types of cash back. And you're also getting 7/8 of the way to a complete Droid Carrier set. Another thing I want to mention is that both of the retiring Brickheadz this year quickly went on back order. I think a lot of people had the same idea to fill out their last little bit of the order threshold with those $10 and $20 Brickheadz. The release of the Clone Trooper and Droid Battle Pack earlier in 2024 has taken the wind out of the sails since those amazing looking red shock troopers are no longer exclusive to the gunship. I still don't fully believe that this set will retire at the end of 2024, but so far it's still on the retirement list, and so I did want to pick one of these sets up. Of course, every iteration of Republic Gunship before this one has gone on to perform pretty well as an investment, so I wanted to start by picking one up.
More and more on this one, I'm thinking it does retire, partly because these minifigs came out in a new set. There doesn't seem to be a ton of buzz around this one. I mean, it's a great Star Wars set. There's enough around it, but Lego's going 4X on it. Tells me they were wanting to sell it a little better, maybe clear it out. So signals for me are pointing to that it will retire at the end of the year. So I'm gonna take that gamble on this one. Whereas the Ghost, I'm gonna be a lot more careful. How about this one? Did you get any of these? I know it's not your favorite. I'm so on it.
For the longest time, I thought that this only had 4 minifigures because there are only 4 down below. But I noticed the Shin Hati figure is in the cockpit of the yellow and red Starfighter.
I mean, it's in the title of the set. She's got to be in there somewhere.
Well, just like Andor, I did not watch this TV show. I don't watch Star Wars TV shows. I'm a busy guy. I got too many things going on. So I don't have any knowledge whatsoever of the source material. It's a cool looking set. I know the E-Wing is a vehicle that's attracted some interest from LEGO Star Wars fans for a while. I think that could carry this set. 5 exclusive minifigures could be something to look at, but no, I'm not picking any of these up.
So I did one order with this being the main set, and so it's my second one. I probably won't get any more, but I have seen Endor and Ahsoka. I like them both. A little bit of prospecting. I think with the deals that are going on, I'm not going to lose. So David, now let's talk some Brickheadz for a minute. So let's click through these. The Phantom Menace just came out. I'm banking on it retiring, even if it is not on the Brick Fanatics list yet. And then here are the ones that we were able to fill in to get us over the $160 threshold. So I definitely picked up my fill of the Tusken Raiders, Obi-Wan Kenobi Mandalorian Darth Vader. I did end up picking up a couple of these, even though they're not retiring yet. But the one that I mostly want to focus on, of course, is this new Phantom Menace 6-pack for $55. Good job, Lego, to stick to the $10 for the full size and then $5 for this young Skywalker with the great little goggles for the pod race.
Some characters obviously more desirable than others. The standout to me, just visually speaking, Queen Amidala looks amazing. Her minifigures have gone on to do amazingly. Jar Jar doesn't look the best, but I know he has a little bit of a cult following. To me, the brightest in this set is Darth Maul. I believe that's a print for those face tattoos. Looks absolutely amazing. And honestly, Captain Panaka coming in hot with the pearl gold looks pretty good. I will say the weakest ones in this set to me are young Skywalker and Qui-Gon.
I do not think that there is a weak Brickhead character in this whole set. And then Jar Jar, I'm 100% happy with him in his Brickhead form. It represents Jar Jar, but it's not overdone to an annoyance. Young Anakin, I love it. There is nothing weak about that. I mean, it's one of my favorite scenes when, he's doing the pod racing and, his little buddies are joking about how he's never won a race before. And oh, wait, it's that he's actually never finished a race before. My number one is Queen Amidala. How about you?
I'm surprised Lego didn't just take Queen Amidala and Darth Maul, smush them together as a 2-pack and charge $25 for it, because I would have happily paid it.
So what's your number two?
Obviously Darth Maul.
So my number two is young Anakin.
Who you got at number 3?
Now it gets hard because really all three of these are equal number 3s. I'm going to go Captain Panaka.
I got Panaka at number 3 too. See, it's the colorful Brickheads that really stand out and are desirable. Unlike those Jedi minifigures that you butchered last time on the podcast, Jedi Brickheads really aren't all that.
So now on to your number 4.
Number 4, I gotta give to Jar Jar with that super jump, double height jump ability.
So my 4, now I bring in Darth Maul. Love him, but I wish there was a little bit more spikiness. All right, so what's your 5 and 6?
Qui-Gon, and in 6th place, Little Anakin.
In 6th place, Little Anakin? Honestly, when I saw this set, that was the one that I really gravitated to first. And then after looking at it for a little longer, I was like, all right, Queen Amidala is pretty awesome. So Jar Jar's my number 5, and then of course Qui-Gon is number 6, even though I love them all.
Speaking about investment, I don't know if I would have picked up 3 or 4 of this set at full price, being reasonably confident it's going to go on discount later in the year. So I passed on this for May the 4th.
Totally fair. That's why I only did 4 of them, because I'd love to have 10. And so I was doing a little dollar cost averaging. If they don't go, maybe it only goes 20% off, and this one ends up being a little more popular.
So we've mostly been talking about retiring sets this year. Now it's time to talk about some new Star Wars sets, starting of course with the new Ambush on Mandalore Battle Pack, $20, 4 figures, but not all from one faction. We have a couple of Imperials and a couple of Mandalorians. I think this set looks great. Usually in a battle pack we get a speeder, a weapon emplacement, or some kind of small walker. It's a bit of a change of pace to just get some terrain as the build. 109 pieces. We have this trans clear part here, allowing one of the Imperial jetpack troopers to fly up.
It's well done. So I'm glad that Lego picked some sets that are around this specific event in that series. But the Imperial troopers, those helmets look good. I think they're dual molded with some gunmetal gray on them. I think those are gunmetal gray arms. So there's, some extra pizzazz, if you will, with those. And then of course the Mandalorian figures are good. Again, what's nice about those is they are totally unique from each other. So they have different helmets, different torsos, and different legs. And that's pretty good. Now, if you get multiples of these packs, then you're going to have 2 clear groups. But in one pack, it's nice to have some variety. It's a battle pack. Some of them do well. Some of them are mediocre. How popular is Mandalorian going to be when this thing retires? There's talk of a movie. There's talk of season 4, but we know that Mandalorian is getting wrapped up here sometime soon. And will this scene that is great, but buried late in season 3, going to have much buzz around it? I don't know yet.
If we look at the last Mandalorian battle pack, it's done okay. And this is, of course, half Mandalorians, half Imperials. Imperial battle packs also do okay. But if this launches mid-2024, maybe it'll retire at the end of 2025. You mentioned that Mandalorian movie coming 2026, I think is the date expected on that. I'm not sure there's going to be much relevance at all. As a fan, I don't mind that this is a 2 versus 2 split in half battle pack. But as an investor, I'm not loving it. At the bottom right, there's a little clip here that connects this set to the next set revealed, the $40 Paz Vizsla and Moff Gideon battle set. The colors match, and I think the sets are going to look really good next to each other. My favorite thing about this set is the minifigure lineup grabs your eye, so colorful. The Moff Gideon with his armor, of course, lacking a cape. You have the Paz Vizsla, which I think is unique from the last one, but it pretty much looks the same. That's a great looking minifigure. At 289 pieces for $40, this set set is a bit overpriced. I'm sure we'll be able to get it on sale.
Moff Gideon does need that cape. That is a real shame the Lego didn't get that piece in there. So from investing, I feel the same about the last one because it's buried in the middle of season 3 when Mandalorian show was losing its buzz. But of the two, I think this one is much more significant.
Next, we have the 4th Star Wars mech in the sub-theme, the Luke Skywalker's X-Wing mech, $16, just like the rest of them, 195 pieces, which is the largest piece count. A lot of those pieces go into making the S-foils on the back. Completely hilarious. The Lego designer just did what they wanted, and honestly, I think it looks pretty good as an X-Wing backpack. Obviously, completely non-canon. This has Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, as well as a blaster. I like the color scheme. I like that printed Rebel Alliance logo on the chest. Colors look great, and I just can't get over those S-foils on the backpack. You have a little spot for the blaster pistol there. Look at this thing. It's bristling with weaponry.
You know, these mechs have become so fun at this point, right? And I love that the Lego designers are just going with it, right? Lean into it.
What are we going to get next? A General Veers mech with a AT-AT, 4 legs coming out the back? I mean, the possibilities are endless. This hits very close to that Lego ethos of silly stuff, transformable, rebuildable, customizable. I love it.
And I don't want to go crazy on the mechs, but I do want to dabble in them.
I'm pretty much not.
I think that's part of the reason I do want to, is because I think that a lot of people are going to be like, yeah. And it's a new Star Wars sub-theme, and I haven't seen a new Star Wars sub-theme not do well, at least at the beginning.
You are right. We know that mechs do well, and these are the first ever Star Wars mechs.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, Star Wars has tried to do those like quasi-Technic action figures, and those have never done well. But if you go look at like the original Boba Fett and original of a couple others, they are doing okay. You know, I mean, we have mech fatigue in the superheroes universe, and in the Ninjago universe, but mechs when they first came out did well, and these are Star Wars mechs, and they come with minifigures. Yeah, I just think there's a chance that those mechs could go to $60.
I mean, look at early Microfighters.
Exactly. If those 3 retire this year, I think that the hate is going to be good for them, and that in time people are going to be like, you know what? Who cares? There's a bunch of things in Star Wars. Worst case scenario, I don't think you can lose money on them if you get them at basically 50% off.
I think you're right. I think there's enough people like me who are uninterested.
Yep.
And maybe I should know better because it's a new Star Wars sub-theme.
Yep.
And the same pattern keeps repeating itself. But on this particular sub-theme, I'm like, I just don't see the appeal. And maybe that's going to make space for people like you to go to $60 a pop.
Yeah. You know, I mean, look, if I'm getting them for $10 each, just to make the numbers easy, and I get 5 of each, it's $150. It's not a huge amount. And yeah, there's the argument with, hey, they're low cost. You got to sell a lot of them. You're only selling 15 of them. You know, is it really worth it? But if you bundle them up, that's right. And you sell 3 of them. And maybe after shipping and fees and everything, you know, I spent 30 and maybe it works out to like 120. And so then, or call it 130, just to make it easy, right? So that's $100 profit at, I would say, a reasonable 40 and some change a piece. And now all of a sudden I spent 150 and then I'm popping $100 of profit on each one of, you know, each bundle. So that's $500 of profit on 150. You never know.
Yeah, I like it.
And if it doesn't work out, well, I'm not going to lose $150.
Worst case, you'll break even. Like worst case, what are you going to lose on 150? You're going to lose $30. You're going to lose 20%. In the worst case, it's not the end of the world.
I'm risking $30 for potentially 500.
I'd take that bet. I think about this with stocks because I also invest in stocks as well as Lego. I'm like, okay, there's upside. Everybody talks about upside, but when on individual stocks, not the index, you got to think like how much upside versus how much downside. If I'm going to risk $200 for maybe 50 in upside, even if I think the upside is more likely, do I think it's 4 times more likely? That's a bad bet. I think these mechs are a very good bet.
Yeah. And I know the mechs are more of a bet, more of a gamble, but sometimes it's good to take a little gamble.
You are kind of talking me into it, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something I can't ignore, which is the fact that it's a new Star Wars sub-theme.
That's what Lego investing is all about, is putting your own unique spin on it and taking a gamble. If you feel a particular way about a series of sets, go for it. If you look at the buildable figures, some of them have done well. And then you have, is it Jyn Erso?
Yeah.
Like the worst one of all.
It's like $4.
Yeah. But if you had allocated evenly among, say, all 4 mechs, let's say there's no more coming, and I think there are more coming.
I do too. I'm banking on that too. I hope so. I hope they do like 15 of them.
Well, hey, Microfighters are up to 25 or 30 or more. I don't even know.
But you're right, though. If you cost averaged across all of those, Star Wars action figures, you'd be doing okay.
And you'd still have a palette of Jyn Erso.
That's right. But odds are that you would have been like, you know what, I'm gonna skip Rey.
Or you'd go lighter into it.
I think there would be enough signals at the time that we would be like, yeah, that one would be an obvious skip. Hey, so different topic. I just realized, what is that behind you over your left shoulder?
Oh, this guy?
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, I've spent so long looking at your Mos Eisley Cantina and just seething with jealousy that I thought I would bring out my own little flagship Minecraft set. This is the Mountain Cave from 2016.
It's the one with the mountain cart, right?
It's got a mountain cart. Yeah, it's not the only Minecraft set with a mountain cart, but it is the only one with a corkscrew elevator.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the big famous one that's really valuable now, right?
It's the largest ever Minecraft so far.
Okay. Yeah.
MSRP 250 and going like 1,500 to 2,000 sealed.
So I hate to tell you this. So this was maybe 6 years ago. So this is before I was really like looking at sets for investing. And so we weren't into Minecraft. Kids were too young. Of course, now they love Minecraft. They're both playing it on their tablet right now. So I wish I'd picked these up. But I saw 2 of those sets in a Second and Charles. You ever been to a Second and Charles? They're like music, vinyls. Oh, they're books. So they're a bookstore. So bookstore, music, vinyls, guitars. They had 3 of those for $100 each.
Wow.
But the problem is that they were waterlogged. Like the whole box clearly got wet and dried out. Now, of course, I should have bought them, right? Because I'm sure even if the directions were a little dried out, like the bags, the pieces were good. So, I would still be able to sell them for $1,000 a day, but I just wasn't paying enough attention. Minecraft wasn't a theme. My kids were too little, I looked at them, I studied them, I thought about it, and I just was like, no, I'm not into these.
Should have taken a flyer with $300. You could be looking at 3,000.
Yeah. And I wasn't in the just pure investing mindset at that point. I was in the, buy a couple and open one up. And so I just didn't think about it.
You didn't think it'd be a good idea to pick one up, maybe just to have just on the off chance?
Of course, now I'm kicking myself because, now my kids have grown up and they love Minecraft. I'm like, should have known that too, but I knew nothing about Minecraft at the time.
Well, boy, do I have an offer for you. No, I'm just...
Is it new in box and waterlogged?
It's actually pretty dusty and has some pet hair that's not mine.
It is a beautiful set, though. Now that I really understand and understand a little bit more Minecraft, it is a killer awesome set.
The one thing about those high price point Minecraft sets is you get a lot of bulk for the value.
Yeah.
Like tons of 2x4s, 2x2s, 2x6s. It really takes up mass, and that's kind of my problem with the newer Minecraft sets. Is even the larger ones, but especially the smaller ones, they don't have a lot of mass. You don't really get a lot visually in terms of assessing the value.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that puts people off from the whole theme when the whole theme looks like that.
That's a great point. And man, some of those we might even, I don't think I even opened up the Minecraft tab because I didn't care that much. But some of the ones that just got announced in the last couple months, like my kids are 12 and 10. At 6, they could have designed a better set than some of these that have just been announced. They look so thin and flimsy and open, and not open, but just blank, empty and blank. And I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah. And then, of course, last but not least, we have the most controversial release in a while, the Captain Rex Y-Wing Microfighter. Long anticipated. People have been asking for this Microfighter for years. But the controversial part is that the Rex minifigure in this set is the exact same one from the UCS Venator. What do you think about LEGO re-releasing this minifigure in a $13 Microfighter set?
Return everything. All my shipments are going back. I'm done. I need to find some other business to invest in. Look, from an investing perspective, of course, that's going to change things up. That tells us all and signals to all of us that it's something we need to keep an eye on. The LEGO will do that every now and then. We've had minifigures in the past that LEGO, when released, advertised they were exclusive to a set, and then they got released in another set a year later. And I think it's just part of navigating through the game. This doesn't bother me in the least. It bothers me zero. I'm perfectly happy to have that set. I want it myself. I wasn't going to get the large UCS for that minifigure alone. phone, but I love the little minifigure. I love getting it in a $13 Microfighter. But, look, at the end of the day, Lego is a company, and we all are very happy that Lego exists. Doesn't mean we're going to love everything that Lego does, but, look, they can't please everybody all the time. They're trying to please the cross section while also making the right profit and, other things, other goals and objectives that they have. I'm not going to pay any attention thinking about it one way or the other. I just don't care. Lego gets to make all their decisions first. They do what they're going to do, and then I'll make my decisions afterwards. And there are other great sets that I can put my money into. And so just not worried at all.
It's no secret at this point that Lego looks down pretty hard on resellers and investors and that sort of thing. I'm not sure to what degree this was Lego striking back at investors or to what degree it was just that they want to release a microfighter that's going to sell well. Looking at some past microfighters containing clones, they've done pretty well. We had the Microfighter Republic Gunship with a clone pilot. That one did pretty well. Of course, you have the clone turbo tank with the Phase 2 clone trooper exclusive.
I love that one.
That's a great one. I think that's the highest valued microfighter so far. So microfighters of clone vehicles with clone minifigures obviously have a strong track record for investment. Ironically, I think this microfighter is going to go on to be a better investment than the Venator will be. Thank you, Lego. That's a nice gift.
Yep, I totally agree.
They're completely vertically integrated. So they're the designer, the manufacturer, and the distributor. And whatever happens on the secondary market is just that, secondary. 99 pieces for 13 bucks. I'm sure we'll be able to get that for 10 or less at some point. Box looks great. Looks like we have some stud shooters or tile shooters there along the side. I like those trans pink engines there. I'm not a huge fan of the Y-Wing as a vehicle, but I think the color scheme does work pretty well with the minifigure. And so I love it. I love this set as a fan. As soon as I catch wind that this is on the retirement list, I'm going to be picking it up by the dozen or by the 100. Continuing on with the new sets, a bunch of new official images just came out for themes like City, Technic, Speed Champions, Harry Potter, and much more. So Kevin, I want to know your opinions, not so much as an investor because these sets just came out, but just as a fan. What are you thinking about sets like this new mobile construction crane or downtown tram? Maybe a construction excavator? This one looks amazing, fully articulating tracks. Or any number of these other amazing 2024 city sets.
Some of my favorite days are when my phone gets the brick set notifications that new released images of XYZ theme. It's like Christmas, man. I love seeing them. Every time I open up one of those, I think to myself, I want to own at least half of these for my own collection. I want to build them. And then I think to myself, would I ever have time to do that? Would I ever have space for them?
I'm right with you. I burn up all my dopamine when they first get leaked. And then by the time I see them on store shelves, I'm like, whatever. I've already seen that. Coming from an investor standpoint, city sets are a little bit weak usually, but this excavator being so filled in with all the details, having articulating tracks, this looks like a custom mock. Look at these images here. That looks great. And I believe the mobile construction crane is 110 bucks, which is a little bit steep, but look at the size of that thing. Look at those Technic beams, how much that articulates. This thing is going to be 2.5 feet tall, lifting up a porta potty. That's another little joke. So this is given the same vibes as the building crane from 2006. That was a much larger, taller, stationary crane, but they put the same joke, lifting up the porta potty with the minifigure in it. I love that little tie-in to that piece of Lego history. Always love the references. Making use of the rich history of Lego City. Construction is one of the sub-themes in City that, number one, I'm most interested in, but number two, other people are most interested in, and so therefore that drives demand for investment. But just as a fan, yeah, these look amazing. The car transporter, those are Speed Champions quality cars just about. What the heck is this? Okay, Guy Fieri. We got this, not sure what that's supposed to represent, but it's a great looking purple sports car. Scrolling on down here, Harbor set.
Love it.
1,226 pieces. That'll probably be 150 bucks or something insane. But look at that. You got the cargo crane lifting 2 containers. The dock side looks like a seaside cafe there. Little crab part there. I'm liking that. Moving on over to the June releases in Harry Potter. We have quite a few sets, some amazing looking ones. We have the Tri-Wizard Tournament, The Arrival, containing the Durmstrang ship. Looks like canvas sails or cloth sails on that ship. A lot of dark red, brown, tan, even maybe some gold parts there.
Yeah, I'm definitely cooling on investing in the Harry Potter theme. We all can feel it. The buzz is dying down, but I like that Lego is, still fighting to make more good, different creative sets. And this one does stand out. A Harry Potter, minifigure scale ship is something totally new. Haven't had that before. Had 30 Harry Potter trains, but the first time we've had a minifig scale ship. So because of that, I'm going to watch this this one. There's one or two in this list that I want to watch, and this is one of them.
Maybe not for investment, but just as a fan, it's nice to see some original concepts coming out of Lego. Of course, we have the Ollivander and Madame Malkin's robe shop. That ties in with the Weasley's Wizard Wheezes and the Diagon Alley sets. That's not so original, but these look fresh. Fresh looking color palettes. Not that same tan castle design. Of course, we have minifigures here. Looking good. The Hogwarts Great Castle. This is your $200 set, and honestly, this is the least exciting of them. I will say that Big Fig Troll is the thing that draws my attention the most, but why would you pick this up when you could pick up the entire Hogwarts castle in micro scale for a cheaper price? Yeah, I won't be picking up this one. That's a cool feature that the interiors slide out for better play access. Aragog and the Forbidden Forest. That's a scary looking spider. We have the Mandrake, some printed parts there, and of course, it is a plant. Pulling it out there. Hey, that's pretty accurate. It looks pretty disgusting. Nice looking pot there. Almost looks like a Mario tube.
And so this is the second one that I would kind of keep an eye on. I mean, I'm not thinking either of them are going to be great at this early stage of the game, but this is the other one that's pretty unique. And the fact that you could pull the guy out and put him back in and it all works out, you know, functionally action feature is good. So there could be something there with this.
Thank God they didn't incorporate a voice box and have it scream as you pull it up like that Hogwarts hat.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure the parents would have loved that.
The kids are like sitting at the table, parents trying to tell them to do their homework. They pull that thing out.
We have a Castle Potions class. That looks all right, but this is more along the lines of what we've been seeing. I'm so tired of looking at these castle sets. And last but not least, we have Buckbeak, 723 pieces, even though it doesn't look like it. This is in the line of those buildable creatures, like the Patronus, the Hedwig, the Fox, and more. Seems somewhat posable.
I'm very disappointed in this one. I wish it was so much better.
What don't you like?
You know, I can't quite put my finger on it yet. It just doesn't seem clean. It feels slapped together. You know, there's a lot of weird angles and shapes and textures that all mishmash and don't work for me. And so I'm let down. I was excited when I heard this one was coming out, and I'm let down, and I don't think it's going to be doing any help to the Hedwig and Fox and Hungarian Horntail dragon.
I do agree with you. It looks pretty choppy in the design. I guess it's meant to represent ruffled feathers, but yeah, the color blocking on this doesn't look good at all. I think just by existing, this is going to keep those older buildable creatures like the Hedwig a little bit more relevant for longer, but I'm right with you. The design on this one does not look good. And then moving over here, we have some new Technic sets and new Speed Champion sets. Some of these look really promising. We'll be sure to deep dive those in a future episode. So here we have the Lamborghini Lambo V12. Is that a real thing? Lamborghini Lambo? What's the make? Lamborghini. What's the model? Lambo.
So isn't this like a concept car that you can play in Gran Turismo? Like, isn't this from a game? I don't know for sure.
This is only the third Lamborghini we've had. We had the Dual Pack, the Urus. Of course, we have the White Wolf of Wall Street Lamborghini Countach. Yep. And now we have this car.
And I can tell, even though it's that same color that we have debated about before, like on the Natural History Museum modular building, where you hate it and I love it. And it's the main color in the Haunted House from the Fairgrounds collection, where I don't like it on that one. And I think you were okay with the color on that one, but I love it here. It is so different, and different is good in the Speed Champions line. So this car is amazing. I can't wait to build it. I know it's early, but I'm calling it now. This one I think will be a good investment too. Now, Speed Champions haven't, been crazy good investments. They're just kind of solid, double your money, evergreen investments after a little longer of a hold time. But I think this is one that's worth going after.
Everything is different. The color is new. That bright blue. The wheels look totally unique. The shape, this cockpit we've never seen in Speed Champions before. What the heck is that rear spoiler? So this design of this car is eye-catching.
It looks like one of those like super stylized Hot Wheels with all the cool colors and the transparent plastic elements to it, made into a big 8-stud wide Speed Champions car. I love it.
And it's not the only new Speed Champions set we have. At long last, did I call it a G-Wagon, G63, and the SL63. Oh my goodness, this looks so good. They nailed the font. This yellow SL63 is a weird looking sardine car, even in real life. So although the Lego model does look weird, I do think they captured the essence of the real car. This G-Wagon looks amazing. At first glance, the shaping is great. I don't love that Lego is putting some glare onto the stickers like that. It's a little bit false advertising. Looks like antennas for windshield wipers. That's pretty cool. They've got the wheels stanced out of the fenders, give it that really aggressive look. When we're thinking about Lego and Lego investing, we have to remember we happen to live in the US, but there is a whole world out there, Europe, Africa, Asia, and many other places around the world. And this vehicle, speaking about the G-Wagon, is popular worldwide. So I think this is an instant hit. $50 for over 800 parts is amazing price per piece for Speed Champions. We have the Aston Martin Vantage safety car and AMR2. I like the color. Looks like regular green. That's the first regular green Speed Champions car we've had maybe ever, but definitely in a long time. Technic, we have the Apollo lunar roving vehicle. Pretty good looking tires on that. We have an Excavator, another mid-sized Technic car. So some good releases here. So now it's time to wrap up with a couple good set, bad sets. You ready to get into it, Kevin?
Let's do it. One of our favorite segments.
My first set for good set, bad set. You can tell by the smile on my face, I'm already giving away my hand. 10341 NASA Artemis Space Launch System. This is 3,600 pieces for $260. For an icon set, that's amazing price per piece and value. I'm really surprised for being an officially licensed NASA set that LEGO didn't price this higher. We're not sure yet whether this will get a wide release or remain exclusive, but even if it's exclusive and it's hard to get on a discount, this is not priced out of reach as a $400 or $500 set. Now, it's not perfect. The biggest drawback I would say is that about a quarter to a fifth of the parts go to the actual rocket and the rest goes to this launch system. Maybe that's why they gave it to us at a more reasonable price. But the detail, those burnt orange rocket colored parts always look so good. The design looks great with the booster rockets. Unfortunately, it's not perfect. It does have a mix of stickers and prints, but at a micro scale, this just looks amazing. Look, you even have the little boarding ramp there, lower left. You can have your micro figure astronauts board this thing. And of course, contained on the inside, you have the Orion satellite. Comparing to the Saturn V rocket, here we're looking at Google Trends. We can see a huge spike for the Artemis rocket. There must have been a news story or an announcement or a launch or something in August of 2022 because we see the search volume go from about 10 to 100 real quick there. So space exploration does hop into the public consciousness every few years.
Obviously, we'll watch shelf life and everything else, but I'm not even worried about shelf life because the Saturn V was so popular, LEGO brought it back, and both versions are both still doing pretty well on the secondary market. This is great. You know how I feel about NASA sets in general, and I love the fact that LEGO did a set with the full pad and launch system. It's just such a standout compared to the previous NASA sets that we've had. The only thing I wonder is, will this thing maybe lose some appeal if the Artemis program never really gets off the ground very well? Because that program has been a major challenge for NASA. This set might be a monument to what could have been as opposed to what actually happened. I am very curious if this set might be a little premature and we see what NASA ends up getting out of this program, because gradually it seems like more and more there are components of getting to the moon and beyond that NASA's saying, well, maybe we'll scrap internally doing that and let's pull SpaceX in to take care of that piece of it. And so we'll see if this thing ever ends up being a part of it or if the Starship ends up being the whole system and NASA just outsources. But for a LEGO set and for a cool piece of history, regardless of what the future holds for space exploration, this thing is beautiful and I'm all in on it.
If that turns out to be the case, I would look at this as a bad investment, but launching in 2024, let's say it has a 2-year and change shelf life, retiring 2026, that would correspond with landing on the moon. And I think we can maybe expect, a little bit like in 2003, when those Mars rovers touched down on Mars, a huge surge in popular interest in the Artemis program, and this rocket could go quite literally to the moon.
Well played, my friend, well played. All right, my first set is the new midi-scale Millennium Falcon 75375. It just came out. It'll probably retire at the end of next year, under 2-year shelf life. It's a little early to start thinking about it, but not long we'll want to start looking at it. But my big question to you is, David, at the $85 price point, and the fact that we have major Millennium Falcon fatigue, and it's very expensive, do you think either of those, I'll call them issues, will negatively impact the popularity and the demand on the secondary market?
In the short term, yes, but in the long term, as much as we have Falcon fatigue and as much as it gets re-released every year, this is in the MIDI scale. So I think long term, this does have investment potential.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way. I still think it's a good set. And one thing that's nice about it is that it's at the perfect scale for us to get a lot of great detail in a small size, right? So a lot of detail, small size. Once you throw out the requirement for it to be able to hold a minifigure or be minifigure scale, then you can really make a beautiful display model of the Millennium Falcon Falcon that isn't crazy expensive and doesn't take up too much space.
Unfortunately, to get that detail at a small scale, what that means is lots and lots of small gray parts. Now, a couple of these parts do look good, like those printed dishes on the front mandibles, the printed cockpit, the printed escape pod on the side, of course, those prints that we've gotten forever on the rear of the set. I'll say the top turret looks pretty good, and I like that the stand lets you display it at kind of a 30-degree tilt. So what's the verdict? Good set or bad set?
Oh, no, I said good set. Still good set.
I'll give it okay set. I'll say from the Starship collection, I like the sets that present themselves as a better value, a little bit like that Artemis rocket. Good value at the get-go from the MSRP. A set like the Invisible Hand, I think gives you a lot more value for the money, but this is the Millennium Falcon. It's the most famous Star Wars ship. And so long-term, you could be right.
So what are you going?
Mid-set.
No. David, the game is called good set, bad set. It's not good set, okay set, mid set, bad set. It's good set, bad set.
Hey. You're antagonizing me. You're making me want to call it a bad set.
Don't care. That means more for me. Call it a bad set.
There's so many places to put our money this year. So many amazing Star Wars sets that are both retiring and coming out. I'm calling this a bad set.
Going with bad set. All right. We'll play the tape back in the future. I got you where I want you. I cornered you in.
Well, Kevin, for my second and final good set, bad set, I'm going to throw you for a little bit of a loop. I don't think you're going to see this one coming. I'm going to do something we've never talked about on good set, bad set, and that is talk about an advent calendar. This is the 2024 advent calendar just revealed. Advent calendars typically don't go on to be anything in terms of investment, but there's something very unique about this year's, and that is the collection of gifts, 24, one to open each day. Of course, we have a couple of minifigures, 6. What we see here is a mini kit from Lego Star Wars, the video game. That's a nice little reference. What I'm noticing here, and what makes this advent calendar stand out from all the others, is the lack of throwaway builds. And I think this advent calendar is so good, they shouldn't have called it an advent calendar. They should have called it the Lego Star Wars Micro Scale Collection. Because we have 17, if I count them correctly, micro-scaled vehicles, all of them recognizable. We have a TIE Fighter, the Ghost, X-Wing, Millennium Falcon, Luke's Speeder, Vader's Castle, a U-Wing, Yoda's Fighter, AT-AT, Jabba's Sail Barge, Y-Wing, T6 Shuttle, Palpatine's Shuttle, Razor Crest, Crimson Firehawk, and this is the only one that's stumping me.
I was going to say, I was pretty good. Now you're just showing off. That was impressive.
Or sad. Even look at the minifigures. We have a new Super Battle Droid, Praetorian Guard, a 501st Trooper, in case you didn't have enough of those, couple of Christmas sweater prints here, and an Ahsoka with arm printing in an advent calendar? Are you kidding me? I shouldn't have to say it at this point. This is an amazing set. Look how efficient the Microfighters are in a Star Wars display cabinet. This is going to be perfect for your college students, people in studio apartments with just one shelf on one single bookshelf available for Lego Star Wars fandom. If you're a person like that, this is the set for you. This is a certifiably amazing set.
Well, David, I give you credit for trying to sell me on an advent calendar, but it's still a bad set. It's an advent calendar.
I think Kevin is absolutely wrong on this one, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is going to be a slam dunk investment.
Now, maybe when it goes on sale for $20 at random places, but at 45 or even at standard 20% off sale, absolutely not. But again, I commend your effort on selling me on an advent calendar, but I'm not falling for that trap. Now we've got a few spots in this episode that we're going to need to play the tape back.
Sometimes in life, you got to just send it a little bit.
Like those Star Wars mechs, baby. For my second and final good set, bad set, it's another Star Wars. It's the new Droideka, kind of the UCS version with the plaque and the 25-year anniversary print. You got the little minifig scale size Droideka that really doesn't look good, so I would just kind of throw that to the side. But the main build, pretty darn awesome. $65, 583 pieces. So on initial look, I would say, no, not good set. But now I'm going good set because it balls up. You got to get 2 of them. One that's open, one that's balled up, because every scene that there's Droidekas, there's at least 2, sometimes 4. So you got to complete the scene. This whole mechanism, I really commend Lego in making this happen. And assuming it has a standard shelf life, I think it's a good set.
One detail I didn't know when we first took a look at this set is the fact that the shoulders oscillate back and forth and really let you move those repeating blasters. That's awesome. It's a display set with not 1 but 2 play features. It's a great set. So hang on a minute. What's up up with this. It's called good set, bad set. We just went good set, good set, good set, and good set. We're going to have to bring some bad sets next time.
Actually, if you roll the tape again, good set, bad set, good set. You just were off your rocker talking about that Star Wars advent calendar, but clearly we went good set, bad set, good set.
Tongue twister, man. That is going to do it for this podcast. I'm sure we'll talk about some more of these 2024 releases in more podcasts soon. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Like I said earlier, check out Kevin's channel if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.